Zabane yare man Turki wa man Turki namidanam.
This book is not only a travelogue, it's basically a story of Ottomans and Turks, their rising and their downfall. Jang-e Yarmouk was a matter of death and life for the Muslims.
So, what took you from Seychelles to Australia?
Seychelles is an ideal place, is a heaven, but that heaven was too small.
A very warm welcome from our London studios. I am Sohail Qureshi, and I am here with my program Sharp Edge. Pakistan is an amazing country, as I keep on saying, and it has produced so many jewels which are spread all around the world. More importantly, what I have noticed in the recent years, there's a lot of professionals, especially medical doctors, who have very diverse and diversified life journey. These doctors are entrepreneurs, other than being highly skilled clinicians and medical professionals, and some of them following the journey of Ibn Battuta, who was a very famous Muslim traveler in the 13th, 14th century, and following the footsteps of Captain Cook. I have a very interesting medical professional, rather a surgeon now, who has traveled from the Gold Coast, Northern Australia, from Brisbane to United Kingdom, visiting and meeting his friends and family. And we are very lucky to find a few moments of his time. I am talking about Dr. or Mr. Tasawar Aslam Bhutta, who is here in my studios today. And I welcome him from not only by myself, but also from Quews News TV channel. Thank you very much for coming and gracing us, Mr. Bhutta, for joining us here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. So I'm really humbled and honored to have come over here, and thank you very much.
It's indeed very kind of you, because I know you're flying back today. In your very hectic schedule, you gave us a little bit of a time. I was speaking to you earlier, and I'm absolutely impressed and intrigued by the tapestry of your journey in life. You started from a rural side of interior Punjab, and then you became a medical doctor. You were very active in the students' politics, and then your journey starts from there. Eventually, you became a writer, a traveler, and writing in Urdu a very beautiful book which is called Zabane Yare Man Turki wa Man Turki namidanam, which is actually Persian by Amir Khusro, one of the stanzas of his beautiful poetry, which means the language of my darling or beloved is Turkish, and I do not know this language Turkish. So I'm sorry, I might have done the post-mortem of this beautiful poetry, but I will get back to Dr. Bhutta to tell us first about his journey. Where were you born, and how did you come to Punjab Medical College, and then later on your travails of life.
When I look at back, it's sometimes it surprises me too. I'm originally from a very small village in Sargodha. So then somehow my parents forced me to become a doctor, as most of the doctors are. So I became a doctor. Then in 93 I left Pakistan and went to South Africa. Then got admission in University of Zambia. I did my masters from there, and masters in surgery, and then I worked as a consultant surgeon in Seychelles for a few years. I did my fellowship in surgery from Royal College of Edinburgh, and then early 2000s I ended up in Australia, and since then I've been living over there.
Oh, very interesting. From one corner to another. So third, fourth continent, basically, from Asia to Africa to Europe and then to Australia. Very, very interesting. So you are now, so to say, by profession, a surgeon, and you are in a skincare consultant surgeon now. You studied or passed your surgery exams from Edinburgh, which is a very highly regarded institution. Did you work in the UK as well as a doctor or not?
No, I never worked in UK.
I see.
So, but I did a fellowship from there. And I did work as a surgeon in Seychelles and for some time in Australia. Then somehow I ended up in a mining industry. So I worked as an occupational physician in mines for 18 years. And then eventually my family commitments brought me back to city life. And then I started working as a skin cancer. I did masters in skin cancer surgery. So that's the whole surgery. But passion with aviation, that's my childhood, can say passion. I'm a pilot myself, and I also work with one of the airlines in Australia as an aviation medical consultant, and DAMI, which is designated aviation medical examiner.
Wow, very multi-layered personality, right? And so diverse.
Yeah.
A pilot, an occupational therapist, a consultant, and then back to your earlier passion. Very, very interesting. You mentioned Seychelles. It's a set of islands, a beautiful place. It's in Pacific, right? Pacific.
It's a very prestigious small holiday destination. Mm-hmm. Used to be a part of Mauritius. And it's a very small island, 9 into 12, 9 kilometer wide and 12 kilometer long. So
Indian Ocean.
It's in Indian Ocean. It's part of African subcontinent.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's a very small island between Sri Lanka and Madagascar.
Yes.
This is just a dot there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So was it a part of Mauritius you mentioned?
Yeah, it used to be run by the Mauritian Governor General during the British time.
I see.
But when in 78 they gave independence to the Mauritius, the Seychelles remained under British control because Americans, they had a tracking station over there.
Okay.
So they were monitoring the Indian Ocean from there.
Okay.
So I think in late 80s, they transferred their tracking station to Mogadishu, which is a small island of Mauritius.
Somalia, yeah.
And Seychelles became independent then.
Okay.
So I remember that Kate and William, they had their honeymoon.
Yes. It's a honeymoon destination.
It is a honeymoon destination and Hollywood stars destination.
Yes, yes, it is. Beautiful place.
Beautiful place, yeah.
Excellent. So how long did you stay there?
I was there for 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's a long time. So what took you from Seychelles to Australia or to North Australia?
Seychelles is an ideal place, is a heaven, but that heaven was too small.
Okay.
So after 3 years, I started getting suffocation there. So it was very, remote area, remote part of the world. So I wanted to move to some bigger place or some place where my children can have a better future, and myself, I can have a more prosperity and future. So that took me to Australia.
Okay, great. And now you're Aussie, as they say.
Yeah, I'm Aussie. Yeah.
I see. And then you're happy there and well settled.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, I've been there for the last 24 years.
Excellent. There's another aspect of your personality which I'll come to in a minute, which is quite different to what you have been telling me so far. So you were a very important figure in the students' movement. And you were the General Secretary of Students' Union in Punjab Medical College. And I think that was the time that the union had just been reinstated and in the political process. So before we get into the brass tack of your other passion of life, I just want you to shed a little bit of a light of student politics and how important it is for the prosperity and progress of the political life in a country.
I was a part of a big student organization. They call it Islami Jamiyat-e-Talaba, which is a student wing of Jamaat Islami in Pakistan. I was president of Punjab Medical College and then became secretary of the Faisalabad division. I was very much involved in student politics, and then student unions were reinstated in 1989. I became a general secretary of Students' Union. I believe peaceful students' unions and student organizations, they can play a vital role in our students to provide them qualities of leadership. And my belief is that whatever I have achieved today, that training I received and I got as a student leader or as a student political leader, that has been very instrumental and very fundamental in my practical life. Whatever I have achieved, I was not a very good student, I was not a very good doctor, but in practical life, that training and that participation, that has helped me a lot in my practical life.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it is very important, the political process, it must be embedded in the very fabric of society. And people need some kind of a training ground from very early on, where the ethos of the right and correct political governance and the leadership, as you said, it starts from very early on. Because otherwise, if the student unions are banned in a country, and as people come out of this, the student life from the university or medical schools or other type of schools, they're like a headless chicken. They don't really know what the political system is, how they could contribute into the health of the political system of a nation.
I totally agree with you, Sohail Saab, that they are headless chickens. Sorry to say, that might offend a lot of people, but I think we are not only doctors, we are not only engineers, we are also a part of our social setup, our a political setup, and those people can play a better part in building a strong nation and building a strong country who have their political training as a student during their student lives. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, we agree on this very fundamental point. And now I'm very eager really to talk to you about something which is very close to my heart, and that is your intellectual and the literary side. And I know that you have done masters on Iqbaliyat, which a lot of people, especially our English-speaking audience, don't know. It is about they say Goethe of East, Allama Iqbal, actually Sir Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, who's a very famous poet who unfortunately died in 1937 in India, although he was from Sialkot originally, and most of his time he spent in Lahore, and is a very profuse writer and more of a revolutionary type, and to beckoning the Muslim all around, or the revolutionary, very humanitarian, and giving the lesson of courage, fortitude, and honor to the world, and especially to the Islamic world. And he was probably one of the first one who gave this idea of Pakistan, a state within the United India, or British India as it was called, where the Muslims of the subcontinent can have a semi-autonomous area where they could live within their own belief system, their religious system, coexisting with the other religious groups like Hindus and Sikhs and others. And you did a master's on Iqbaliyat. So please tell us. I took a long time to introduction, and I know you're making notes, and I'm sure you could correct me where I was wrong.
No, you are perfectly on the spot. Allama Iqbal was a dreamer, and no doubt he was the one who gave us the dream about the Pakistan. For those people who don't know Allama Iqbal or who are not very much familiar with Pakistan, I would say the Allama Iqbal has the same place in our history and in our Pakistan becoming a Pakistan, like Theodore Herzl has a spot in the Jewish history.
Yeah.
The Theodore Herzl was the one who gave a
1896-98, yes.
The
elder of the Covenant of Zion. Yes.
Yeah. So he was the one who provided them that the Jews in the world, they need a separate country to live peacefully and live. So Pakistan and Israel, these are the two states who are basically based on the ideology of their religions.
Yeah.
So Allama Iqbal has the same spot in our history. So he was the one who gave us the dream.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I like about Allama Iqbal, that he was very well traveled. He studied in Europe. He was very much impressed by Nietzsche. And Nietzsche is a particular character, Obermann. Merde-Moment, that he actually translated into a person or a mentality which is very honorable, respectable, humanitarian, revolutionary. So he was a combination of Goethe, Nietzsche, and then Voltaire, for that matter, the French scholar, writer, and intellectual.
Yeah, I agree on you on this. This is the second point we are agreed on. So no doubt Iqbal was the combination of all these things. One person you have left out is the Maulana Rumi.
Yes.
So Allama Iqbal was also
a disciple of Maulana Rumi.
Rumi was
yes, who was a 13th century Turkish Persian scholar, born in Konya in Turkey at actually that time. It was more of a Seljuks time. But we'll talk about that in a minute in your journeys and travails of. So this masters you did from probably Punjab University.
Yeah, I did it in Allama Iqbal Open University. Okay. So that was one aspect of my life. I was never a doctor by choice, as most of the Pakistani doctors are. I was inspired by my childhood passion I had, but I was always a literary person from very beginning. Naseem Hijazi was my first love as a child, as my
Or Talwar
Toot Gayi and
fame.
So
that was one of very famous.
So he was my first love, Dastan-e Amir Hamza and all those. So I was always a literary person, and when I went to medical school, I didn't have much marks in science subjects. So you'll be surprised that I went to medical college on the basis of my marks I got in Urdu, English, and Islamiyat and Mutala Pakistan.
Okay. That's interesting. Yes.
So I was always a literary person.
So you were pushed by your parents, basically. Okay.
Yeah. So
that was the case at that time.
So that was always the literature was always there, and from very beginning, from my school time, I was very impressed by Iqbal. So later on, then when I had a time, I did it. I finished in masters in Iqbaliyat.
Yeah. So, well, for those who probably don't know, I think this brilliant poet, Sir Allama Iqbal, who was knighted, actually given the title of Sir by the British Empire at that time, he wrote profusely in Persian as well. And in fact, in Iran, they consider him more as a Persian poet than an Urdu poet. And that's very interesting. So I would like to just tell us a little bit more. Yes.
Iqbal is being taught in Iran school from I think grade 7 onward. So they call it Iqbal Lahori.
Yes.
So I believe his best part of his poetry is in Persian.
Yes.
60% of his poetry is in Persian. Only 30 to 40% is in Urdu. So
it's well liked in Turkey. Turkey actually now it's called Turkey as well.
Yeah. It's basically they say that he's the Maulana Rumi's thought he has carried it out.
Yeah.
So they say that Iqbal is the Rumi of the modern times.
And he talks not only about pan-Islamism, but he talks about the universal and egalitarian values of human rights.
That's right.
Where he's very anti-capitalistic, and he talks about people to stand up and to break the shackles of slavery, whether not literally, but also very capitalistic and oppressive system of slavery.
I agree that Iqbal is not only a poet of the East.
Yeah.
We should say that Iqbal belongs to the whole world actually. He's a universal poet. Yeah. So his message is not only for the Muslims, not for the East only. His message is a very universal message which can attract any person living in any part of the world, belong to any religion, any race, any part of the humanity.
Now, moving on from there, you are a traveler, and one can be a great traveler, but then to articulate and express those beautiful moments of your journey in life is a unique art. And I personally am very grateful to you for giving me this lovely present, this book, which I'm told is the 5th edition, and it's becoming a bestseller. And after a long time, I've seen a beautiful book, which I just smelled, as you earlier said. And it's very beautifully designed to begin with. Very nice, easy to read language, imbued with literary excellence, I would say. But then most importantly, what I've seen that in this travel, you have put a number of beautiful pictures, especially in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, of tabarrukat, or the remains of the garments and different personal belongings worn by our great leader, our Payghambar, Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Hazrat Imam Hussain Alayhi Salam, our Prophet's grandson. So now I want to talk to you about this. So I was leaving it, I wanted to just know you a little bit more and this. So please tell me, what really made you write this book?
Yeah, this basically, one thing I just want to mention it to my audiences who are watching us, that I came to UK, I was awarded Global Diaspora Writer of the Year 2024. So the best writer of 2024 bestseller book. That's why I came to UK.
Congratulations, yeah. Excellent.
So I received the award on this. Secondly, that's actually a process of discovering myself. As you mentioned that I'm a doctor, I'm a pilot. So I was a doctor by default. I was pilot by, you can say, by just to fulfill my childhood dreams. But I still was feeling that there is something missing in myself. So when the heat of the life was settling, I was settled down in my career, and I had got the PPL, private pilot lessons. I've traveled a lot. I bought a plane. I flew it around Australia. I was still not satisfied with myself. Then I discovered that I'm missing the most essential part in my life is that writing and reading. So that was the time when I started putting my focus on literature and reading books. Try to write it around that time, and I mainly write in Urdu, and I write history. I write a regular column in which is being published in Pakistani newspapers as well, and also online. It's available. Aaj ka din means today. What is today is basically what has happened today in Islamic history, which has influenced our Islamic history and which has influenced Islam. For example, there was the 20th August. So war was fought, a battle was fought on 20th August, which we call it Battle of Yarmouk. So
636.
Yeah, 20th of August.
20th of August,
Yeah.
636.
Yeah,
Yes, right.
636, that's
Yes.
right. So that Yarmouk is considered as a second Badr in our Islamic history. As Muslims were facing their life and death and their survival question during the Badr, the same situation was during the Yarmouk time.
Under the leadership of Hazrat Khalid bin Walid,
Khalid bin Walid.
Hazrat Abu Ubaidah.
Yeah. Hazrat Abu Ubaidah. So George Neffninger is a very famous Western author and historian. He said about Badr that though very little few people know about Badr today, but if Muslim would have lost the Badr, Yarmouk, the history of the human history would have been very different today. So it's that important in our life, and he has considered it as a 10th biggest battles in the human history, which has changed the course of history.
Absolutely.
So that's all about. That's what I write. So during the same time when I was writing it, I came across about the Turkish history, Ottoman history. I went to Turkey, traveled it several times, and
I just stop you there. This Battle of Yarmouk was very important. I would like, I think, you to please emphasize a little bit more, because this Battle of Yarmouk was fought roughly about 12 or 13 years after Battle of Badr. The first battle where there were 313 Muslims against 1,000 Meccans. And most of these, they were, I understand, probably a dozen or two horses. Not everybody had the full, war gear. And under our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Muslim won that battle. It is known for a number of reasons. And within 12 years, this Jang-e-Yarmouk was fought against one of the two superpowers, the Persian Empire, and that phase of that war was not only the Persian Empire. Within a 2 years period, the Muslims defeated the Roman Empire in Syria and snatched it away, and over 2,000-3,000 years dynasty Persian Empire in Yarmouk. So you're absolutely right that this was the first time the Arabian Peninsula under the Muslim leadership got together and sent by Hazrat Abu Bakr, first Caliph, and then Hazrat Umar, and this. So I want you to please just enlighten us a little bit more that why it was so important and what really happened to the Muslim leadership that our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam produced. That's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle. It's no doubt about that. When we look at the Badr and Yarmouk, there is a lot of similarities in numbers And the same sort of, that we had it in Yarmouk as well.
Asymmetry.
Yes, asymmetry in the numbers. And
Numbers
also
and resources.
and also resources, and also the training and names. On one side there was the best journals in the world, and the other side there was a very unknown person, we call it Badu, Khalid bin Walid.
Bedouins.
Yeah, Bedouins. So it's basically that was the time the Romans were the only superpower in the world, because Iranians were subdued by them, and the Hercules, the Caesar, he was present in Syria, and
Heracle, yeah.
and the Romans were the conquerors,
Yes.
because they had won the war against about 27 years old war against the Iranians.
Yes.
So Romans were the only superpowers.
Which was prophesied by Hazrat Muhammad
Muhammad
sallallahu alaihi
Sallallahu
wasallam.
Alaihi Wasallam.
Yes, that's right.
So there were when Rasulullah Sallam died in 632, and Hazrat Abu Bakr became a caliph, first caliph. So that was the time when he sent three groups of the soldiers to Syria. So they were fighting in different parts of the Syria. One was led by Hazrat Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, one was led by Hazrat Sharjil, and the third one led by Hazrat Abu Sufyan's son. What was his name? I forgotten his name, but he was son of Hazrat Abu Sufyan. So, but they didn't have any conclusive victory or conclusive impression on. So the same time he sent Hazrat Khalid bin Walid to Iraq, and within 7 months, starting from 633, within 7 months he conquered the whole Iraq.
Yes.
And Hercules was quite restless by the presence of Muslims in Syria. So he ordered his
Top general.
brother,
and top,
brother,
yeah.
that he should, organize some big army campaign against these Muslims and try to get rid of them. So they actually gathered a very big army at a place they call it Ajnadin. So I was very lucky that I have been to these all places. I went to Ajnadin, where Ajnadin war was fought. I went to where this Jang Yarmouk was fought. So I just went to refresh my memories over there. So
Are there any monuments there of these?
not at the place of Ajnadin, because Ajnadin is totally dominated by Jews now, and you don't find any monuments over there.
What is the nearest big city?
His name is Fazuddin or something like that. So it's mentioned in my second book, which is about a travelogue of Palestine. So it's basically that when that gathering of that army, the news reached to Hazrat Abu Ubaidah, he wrote it to Caliph Hazrat Abu Bakr. So he ordered Khalid bin Walid to reach to Syria to rescue the Muslims.
Beleaguered army. Yeah.
Muslims there. So the first times in the history, Muslims and the Roman forces, they fought open fight, and Muslims, they had a very surprising victory over there. After that, there was a sense of unrest, a sense of insecurity, which spread through the whole Syria, and that Caesar became restless and became insecure himself too. That he moved to the border of Syria and Turkey. So, and then he collected all his army from all over the Syria, and he also called upon his forces from Constantine to fight a final and that war against the battle against the Muslims. So they gathered in Yarmouk.
Yes.
So that's why it was very important that was the that Jang-e Yarmouk was a matter of death and life for the Muslims.
Yes.
If Muslims would have lost that war, they didn't have any rescue and they didn't have
no
any
plan B.
no plan B. They didn't have any resting place even in Medina.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why it's very, very important. And it's been considered as a best 10, the biggest, biggest 10 battles in the human history.
The top 10 battles will change the course of history. Yeah, that's
change
right.
the course of history.
Yeah. It's amazing because after these two battles with the Persians and Romans, the kingdom or the power of Islam spread to the far side of India, actually.
Yeah, actually, that battle decided the fate of Syria.
Yes.
And Hercules left the Syria.
And forever, never returned.
Yeah, there is a very nice monument installed in the where the battle was fought. That saying the last words of Hercules, that farewell, forever to Syria.
Yes.
And these were the last words he said, and he left.
Syria was the most prosperous province,
it was,
or satrap, as they used to call it at that time. And Damascus has a very old and ancient history, and Romans never returned, even centuries later. Yeah. But the most beautiful part of that era was this: that the Islam spread not only from Arabia, and within another 10, 15 years, to the borders of India, which is current Pakistan, including Iran, Iraq, Syria, entire Arabian Peninsula, current Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and then it went over to Egypt. Interestingly, at that time, the population of Muslim in this large swath of kingdom was only 5%.
It was
60% of the people were Christian. And the most interestingly, the golden rules of Islam of rule of law, equality, justice, fairness were so strong that for centuries it remained there as it is. So that's brilliant. Let's moving on to, and I know I know you are fascinated by Turkey and the Turkish Ottoman, and this book is more about your travels in Turkey, various parts. So let's focus on it. So just tell me that a little bit more about it. Please don't tell me too much because I have yet to read, so I don't want to take that spice out of it.
This book is not only a travelogue. It's basically a story of Ottomans and Turks, what you can say, their rising and their downfall. So there's a whole story in it. I've started the history of Turks from Hazrat Nuh. Mm-hmm. So I've tried to cover not try to cover only on the Muslims. There's a brief background of the Greeks and Hittites, and also about the Romans who have ruled in that Anatolia. So in a nutshell, I can say that any sort of questions one can have his mind about Turkey and Turks, I've tried to answer in this book.
Yeah, I could see the preface is written by the Turkish ambassador who was in Lithuania, Tarek Ganesh.
Yeah, Tarek Ganesh.
Tarek Ganesh. Ganesh means son. I don't understand.
Ganesh son. Yeah.
Yeah, Tarek Ganesh.
Yeah.
And you were telling me earlier that this intellectual lady has PhD in Urdu, and that preface is written in Urdu by herself.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I must say that I had one thing I just want to mention, that I had written this book It took me about 3 years to write it, and that was my passion. I was kept on writing, and when a stage came that I wanted to get it published, I could not do it. So one of my very good friend, Arif Anis, he came to rescue me.
Okay.
So he helped me a lot. So in other words, if I say that I wrote this book and he is the man behind the publishing of it,
Okay.
so it won't be wrong. I'm really thankful to him, grateful to him. So I was his guest in the last couple of days in London. So thank you, Arif Anis.
I think humble as you are, you believe in teamwork, but you must remember there's one Leonardo, Cristiano Ronaldo in every team, and that is you.
Yeah.
And you have done it, and so beautifully. So you went length and breadth of Turkey, and you trace the Turkish Ottoman, and you commented on rise and fall of the Turkish Ottoman. So what were your views of this, that at one time there was such a great empire really dictating the terms to the world? There was no America at that time, and dictating the terms to the European power, and now initially became the ill man of Europe, and then eventually succumbing to a very small part, except the great freedom war that they fought, especially in Gallipoli. What were your views on it?
I think if we look at the human history, no one nation has ruled the world for more than 100 years. So it's a part of that nature, that everyone who goes up, he comes down. And what they say in Urdu, har aruj ko zawal hai.
Every rise has
his downfall. Yeah. I think that retrospectively we can look at it and we can say that they went to their heights, and there were reasons behind their downfall. There were reasons for their rise and their reason for their downfall. So the same happened to the British Empire. The same
and
is
all the other empires.
And the same is happening to America. They ruled the world for 100 years, and there's a downfall there. And there was a downfall to Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And there was so.
That's right.
I think no nation or no person or no family is exempted from this rule of the nature.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, thank you. So I'm not going to ask you more about this book because I want this suspense for the readers, and hopefully there will be a 6th edition, and a lot of people are going to buy this book, read it, and learn from it. And I'm thankful to you for your very candid discussion, your deep thoughts, and especially teaching me and my audience about the journey of a medical doctor going to different areas, different geographies, and the intellectual journey that you have gone through, very deeply embedded with the humanitarian, universal, egalitarian values and the fundamentals of the golden rules of Islam. So thank you very, very much.
One last message I want to say to my, if I have a few words.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So short message to my young audiences. This message to my sons and my daughters who are in a young age, that read history. Read the history of your family, read the history of your nation, and read the history of your religion. History is very, very important. It's a mirror where we can see our future. One Persian poet has said that ताज़ा खाही दाश्तन गर्दाग हाय सीनरा गाहे गाहे बाज खां in किस्सा पारीना रा कि if you want to remember your scars and if you want to remember your past, must read the your past stories again and again. So that's my message. So we all should be familiar with our history. We should all remember our history, who we are, where we belong to, or where are we going to. So that's the only way out that we can see our future there. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. I'm glad that we gleaned some pearls of wisdom from you.
Yeah.
And being a doctor, you have that acute sense, acute focus of research-oriented, evidence-based, which this book is, and it reflects in this conversation with you.
My second book is on Palestine. Its name is Ahle Wafa Ki Basti. Inshallah, it would be out very soon.
Well, definitely. I'll look forward to it. So thank you once again. So dear audience, so you heard, watched, and listened to this beautiful conversation that we had with Dr. Bhutta from Brisbane, Australia, who is from a Pakistani background, but has really traversed the various corners and various geographies of the world, and more so his intellectualism, his literary skills, his inquisitiveness in the prism of our religion, Islam, is really fascinating. History is such an important part because without history, you do not know your past, you don't have a moral compass, you don't know the values that you have. And like Dr. Bhutta, I encourage everybody to read history of the world. It will tell you the rise and fall of great men, rise and fall of great empires, and it is an experience that you will not forget. And sometimes fiction is history and some history is fiction, but it tells you so much about the humanity, basically, how it traveled. And don't forget purchasing this book. I'm not sure it's available online or not, but we will encourage. And I would also exhort and encourage Dr. Bhutta to translate this book, especially in English, Turkish, and Persian, for the people to read through without any borders or restrictions. So thank you very much, audience, for watching this program.